Hey, this is Neil from Heavyocity, and I'm here to show you my demo walkthrough featuring our new plugin called Punish. It's a supercharged version of the Punish knob found in many of our products like Damage, Aeon, DM307, Master Sessions, Gravity, and the Gravity packs. We've got compression, saturation, transient, shaping, EQ, and limiting. So I'm going to show you on this track what I did, what I used, how I used it. Let's get rid of a few of these, and we'll start off with the drums. So this is a MIDI drum groove using a 1950s drum kit and contact. So if we solo this and we shut off or bypass Punish for a minute, you'll see. All right, now I'm going to put it in. So with it in, you can hear a clear difference. There's a lot of punch, warmth, thicker bottom. It's pretty juicy. So we have 4 of the 5 sections working on the drums here. So I'm gonna kind of go through and show you what's going on. So with the compressor, here's your on-off and your parameters, things like threshold, ratio, attack, release. Then there's a sidechain high-pass filter, which decides at what frequency the compressor starts to compress. So if you don't want to be compressing the low frequencies like 100 hertz, or in this case, 121 hertz, it's everything above that frequency. So when that kick drum goes boom, it's not like compressing and collapsing, which is a nice feature. And then there's output gain and the mix. So you can use part of the wet signal and the dry signal and mix them together with this mix knob. So anyway, with this on, let's take a listen. So I've automated the Punish knob too. I'm going to just undo that, bring this up so you can hear AB. So with this, here's the threshold. Let's play it and I'll play with this. So you can really, squeeze the hell out of it. And you'll see there's 3 different modes or models. We modeled some amazing equipment, for these different compressors, for the distortion. So this is in modern, which is a modern style compressor. If we go over to console, it's more of a bus compressor that you'd find in a large format console. It's a little punchier. There's classic and then back to modern, which I was using. So let me load this preset back in. So the next section is saturation, and there are 3 models. There's tube, modern, and vintage. So again, I'm on tube, and I'm combining these 2. Let me load it back in just so we have a starting place. And we'll shut off transients. So with this, you can decide where you want to start the distortion effect frequency-wise, much like with a compressor. There's a high-pass frequency here, and if you don't want to distort, 80 hertz, 100 hertz, you want to kind of get above that, especially with drums, so the kick isn't like making the mix muddy, you can push that up and then add a little bit of that low end back in with this low end makeup. So together. So at extreme settings, you can hear the low end coming back in. And then we'll go to the transient section. So that can add a lot of punch and air to it, or you can kind of suck that out. All right, let me load that back in just to have a starting place. So we have the punish knob here, which you can assign all these parameters to in different like ratios and settings, and then just crank the punish knob up and you can get a little bit of distortion by going all the way from 0 to 100 and a ton of compression, whatever you want. And it's pretty simple to set up. Some of that is covered in detail in other videos, but really quickly I'll show you. If you go into edit mode, all these halos turn white and you can see what's happening. If you look over here, there's a little slit or marker that's showing you the range. As I crank it up, the threshold goes lower, compressing more, the ratio goes higher, compressing more, and then there's a bit of makeup gain that happens. Same thing with saturation, so you can see those ranges. Now, if I take the knob and adjust while I'm in edit mode, the range of this is going to either shrink or become larger. So I've set this up to kind of be its optimal sound for these drums. Now I'm going to go back and load this in. And so you can see now that we're out of edit mode, these halos, if you will, are moving with the punish knob. So that was kind of balls to the wall all the way up. You'll see the white indicator lights will flash red, which means overload. It's not a complete overload of the system. It's that section, but there's a lot of headroom. And even if you're seeing red, it doesn't necessarily mean you're hearing distortion. And I kind of like to push it to its limits and go on what I'm hearing. So again, to load this back into the preset that I was using, drums, you'll see right here, that's the main output of the plugin, and it's not overloading. A little later down the track, and then that same section with it off, it sounds pretty anemic. It just doesn't have that punch and the kind of really thick kick. So in the scheme of things, in the mix of the track, pretty big difference. So let's take a listen to the bass. All right, so this bass track is starting here. I'm going to open up Punish. We're going to shut it off. And there's a little hair on there, a little distortion to begin with. So I'm not hearing like a huge difference here, but what I am using it for is to add some warmth, a little thickness, and also to kind of round out the transients and have it be a little more consistent and sit well on the track. So if you were to play the drums and the bass together, so if we go through the sections here, for instance, so with the compression, I have a really kind of a slow attack to let the attack of the bass, the pick come through, and the release is quick. So it's a bit of a pumping and breathing compression effect. It's almost like a limiting effect. So if we add in the saturation, it gets a little warmer. You could go extreme with this. So let me load that back in. Adding a little bottom here. Some low end and some high end. And you can hear it. So in the next section is this guitar. So that's riding in. In other words, the punish knob is being turned up as the track kind of starts, and then the volume's coming down in the actual track. So if you look at the automation, you can see the volume kind of drop there, but it does not affect the character of the sound. So if we listen from here, without punish, it's bypassed now. Has almost like a spitty kind of aggressive attack to it. It's a little fatter and warmer. All right, and then the next section of the guitar. I'm going to load that preset back in. Guitar main, just to get back where we were. So if we shut a few things off here, seeing there's a good amount of compression going on here. Really flatten it if you wanted to, and then make up the gain. Maybe compress a little less on the ratio. All right, so again, let's bring that back to where it was as a baseline. If you wanted to add more hair and distortion. And there's a low pass filter here, so if it gets really fuzzy and hairy depending on the distortion mode you're in, you can shave some of that off. Make it smoother. And then with the transients on this, maybe a little too much gain on that, but you can hear the kind of snap on the attack of the guitar. And again, to hear the whole thing together, guitar main. It's just more present and punchy. So let's see, if we were to solo the guitar, the bass, and the drums with punish on. Get a sense of it kind of gluing together. And so we have a couple of other guitar parts here that are just kind of additive flavors. So if we go to guitar 2, so let's open Punish up on that track. It does take a second to load. There's a huge amount of graphics in the plugin, as you can see here, with teeth moving. Pretty cool stuff. So again, making it a little more present. One more snap. Have the EQ boosted up on the top end. And the transients. And we'll load that back into its original state. So I'm going to take it from the top and we'll just listen down with everything in. I don't have punish on every single track. It was certainly not necessary, but on the essentials, the drums, on the bass, on the main guitar, and then this additive guitar part. So let's see where we're at here. So that is the track with Punish, our new plugin. Check it out at heavyocity.com. Thanks for watching.